Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. And in this series we're going to be going over Mars in the houses, okay? Mars in the houses, and in this episode we're going to be talking about Mars in the 11th house, having Mars in the 11th house, all right? So first, what is Mars? Mars is the planet of energy, direct energy, okay? This is how we move our bodies. This is our adrenaline. This is how we become in existence, in reality. It's all through energy. Mars is the planet of action, movement. It's the warrior planet. And in order to take all these actions and movement, it's all run through energy. So Mars is that ultimate like adrenaline energy planet. It rules our physical bodies, our movement, our sexuality, our arousal, all of that. That is Mars, okay? Mars is like the warrior. And then you have the 11th house. The 11th house is the house of social networks, friends, society, okay, social movements, how society is doing as a whole, the collective, okay? This is with technology, advancing society, okay? Advancing how we function in society, okay? This is the 11th house, all right? Very mental house, very social, very communicative. It's an air house. So when you have Mars in the 11th house, the first thing I can say is that people like this have so much motivation, adrenaline, just pumped and ready when it comes to friends and group and social activities, okay? These people have so much adrenaline and motivation for it, okay? They're gonna wanna go out with their friends, they're gonna wanna see people, they're gonna wanna go into public spaces, and they're gonna wanna be a part of clubs, be a part of different groups and social groups. They love society, they love, you know, the world socially, the collective. They love dealing with those type of social activities and so much adrenaline for it. So, you know, these guys love friends, they love social activities, they love these types of things. And they like it a lot because they have so much energy and motivation for it. But all that energy and motivation, because we're talking about Mars, can lead into conflict and confrontation. So yes, these people are very motivated for friendships and group activities and all that type of stuff and society. However, all that adrenaline and aggression and motivation can lead to confrontation with people. So Mars in the 11th house people can definitely have lots of fights with their friends, with social groups and groups that they're in, and whatever social activities they're dealing with. There can be a lot of fights, okay? Because with that Mars energy, that aggression, that fighting energy, you got to be careful because you can just deal with lots of like, you know, confrontation with your friends, okay? Mars in the 11th house people have lots of confrontation with their friends. They have lots of confrontation with society and other groups of people and fitting into a group. You know, they could be very confrontational in it. So be very aware of that, okay? Because that's another part, that's another little drama that Mars in the 11th house definitely always have to deal with, you know, issues and fighting and confrontation with their friends. The 11th house doesn't just rule like social activities and people and publics and society, but it deals with society's social movements. So, you know, how we operate as a society, you know, the different causes that we fight for socially, okay? So this is like social justice warrior type of energy, all right? And 11th house deals with that. When you have Mars here, these are people who really are willing to fight for these social justice issues, social movement issues, like whether it be like racism, LGBT, feminism, ageism, whatever it is, anything that deals with societies and groups and different groups. These people are very willing to fight, okay? Willing to fight for these movements, fight for these causes. You know, these are the people outside marching in the streets, you know, screaming like, you know, for calling for justice, okay? Because again, Mars is that fighting energy, and 11th house deals with social movements and activity. So these people are definitely, this is definitely like a social justice warrior placement, because social justice, that deals with 11th house, you know, looking at our society and things that we need to fix about how we connect and communicate as a society. That's all 11th house. But then the fighting and the action, that's Mars. So much fighting for it's like social justice warrior. You're a warrior for these social movements. You know, you're sitting here fighting for the cause. Definitely. And this can also lead to violent movements, okay? You know how when people are fighting for a cause and they're marching and it gets violent and it gets crazy, like Mars and 10th house people, they'll be the ones getting violent, crazy in the march, like fighting the cops or whatever they got to do, because they fight for causes, okay? They got all their Mars is in the house of social of society. So these people are here willing to fight for these social movements, okay? Now be careful, because you know, yes, like we said, like the motivation to fight for something is very good and can be very productive, but it can also be very destructive. So you're trying to like get a movement going, and now there's just a bunch of fighting. So just be careful with that, because just like Mars in 11th house people can have lots of confrontation with their friends, you can have a lot of confrontation with these social movements. So, you know, check your energy. You know, am I fighting productively, or am I just literally in a whole like war mess, like I'm just causing destruction? You know, that's something to very much consider with Mars in the 11th house, because, you know, it can get very destructive with that Mars energy. Also, it's not just social movements, okay, and marching and doing all those things, which is a very big deal in the 11th house, but it's also your ideas. You know, the 11th house deals with your mind on a social level, like what you think for the society, for the world at large, like your mind on the world at large, the collective at large, what you think of society. You know, so when you have Mars here, you could really get into lots of arguments when it comes to your ideas for the world. Okay, what you think about society, your ideas of society, your ideas of certain social groups, what your social group ideas share. You could be very combative for that. You know, just like I said with Mars in the 9th house, you know, they could be very combative when it comes to their philosophical ideas of the world. Well, Mars in the 11th house, they could be very combative with their social ideas of the world, okay? Their social constructive ideas of the world. You know, what they think of society, okay? They could be very combative with that. And this could be tension between different groups and societies. You know, my group is better than yours, or my group does this better than that, or this group does that. You know, it could cause that type of confrontation. Or just your beliefs, your ideas of what you think, you know, there could be some confrontation with it. Or you're just really passionate about debating and fighting for your ideas for society, you know, because the 11th house very much deals with humanitarian energy. And just like we said, like the social justice warrior, fighting, but you can also be a debater too for, you know, your ideas and systems for the world, okay? So it's not just it's not just the people we connect with, our friends, but it's also our ideas, our mentality for the world. So definitely great debaters is basically what I'm saying. Great debaters. Mars in 11th house is another debating type of house, because the 11th house deals with our ideologies for society. Mars is fight, so you're using your ideas for society and you're fighting people off with them. So definitely great debaters, intellectual debaters. Mars in 11th house is definitely an intellectual debater. And it's actually similar to Mars in the 3rd house, because the 3rd house, again, it deals with your mind in the most direct sense. So those are people who argue in general. Mars in 3rd house people, they just argue in general. But Mars in 11th house, it's about society. It's about what your mind, what your mentality is on society. So you're arguing specific topics that deal with society, you know, social issues, you know, great debaters for that. Those larger social conscious debates, okay? Mars in the 11th house is definitely a social conscious debate, you know, whereas Mars in the 3rd house is just a debate in general. Also, Mars in the 11th house, you know, we talked about Mars dealing with your direct sexual energy. Mars in the 11th house people, not all the time, but it's a big manifestation that, you know, you guys can be very sexually active with your friends, okay? People that you consider a friend, you could, I'm just saying blatantly, have sex with your friends. Which could be quirky or weird or whatever, but that is definitely a fun fact with Mars in the 11th house. Also, the 11th house deals with technology, okay? Because when you look at technology, technology is how we advance society. This is how we change the way we operate as a society. You know, look at technology, look at what it does to our society. Now we have phones, and that's how we communicate now. You know, we travel with all these cars and airplanes, all these different technologies. It advances our life. It changes the way we operate as a society. You see that with technology. So 11th house rules technology, okay? And when you have Mars here, you could be very confrontational with your technology, with your devices. So it could be kind of like on social media, just like we said with the social justice warrior, you could be very confrontational on Twitter, on, you know, Facebook, you know, posting these ideas about the world or about what you think about social groups in a very, you know, confrontational Mars way, you know. So, you know, you can have those issues, you know, with social media, get into all these debates and controversy of your ideas that you spread on social media, you know. So, or you could just be it could be manifest in a literal way where you're very aggressive when it comes to your technology, like your phone or whatever. Like you could break your phone because you're too aggressive with it, throwing it around everywhere. I mean, literally Mars in the 11th house can manifest that specifically. Because 11th house again rules technology. So when you look at your relationship with technology, you can look into the 11th house. And if you have Mars here, you're very aggressive with it. Okay. So you could be moving around, be careful with your phone. You could be breaking your phone too much with Mars in the 11th house. So, and I'm serious too. But yeah, that is another manifestation. So yes, be careful with your phones, with your technology, with your stuff. You being really too aggressive, and be careful with social media, okay? And putting out those controversial ideas and just throwing it out there like a fireball. You know, you get into a lot of confrontation with Mars in the 11th house. But again, Mars in the 11th house, these people do like to debate and argue their ideas. So you guys probably love it anyway. You probably threw that tweet in to start a debate so that you have the opportunity to give out your ideas. Who knows? But that is Mars in the 11th house. You know, this is a very motivated intellectual. That's how I see it. A very motivated intellectual. Just be careful not to break things, your stuff. And also try to be as productive as you can when you're fighting for whatever movement you are. Fighting is great. It's a great energy. Just make sure it's productive and it's not completely destroying everything. So that's Mars in the 11th house. I hope you guys enjoyed that and be back for some more. And if you did enjoy it, book a reading with me. I do astro readings, birth natal chart readings. All you have to do is email me. We could go forward with that. And also check out my music on Spotify, Apple, and here on YouTube. I have all the links in the description box below. And I'll check you guys out on the next video.
Yeah. They wanna take